I'm Eric Arvai. I'm head of strategy at Gen City Labs. We're a technology company. We build tools and experiences for Fortune 500 brands to help them engage deeply with their communities. So I actually have a confession to make to kind of start with. Everything that I'm going to talk about is from the perspective of a brand today, and it took me a long time to really grasp this idea of a brand community. I'm involved in a lot of different communities. I play soccer, but just because I see somebody wearing a pair of like Adidas Sambas on the street, I'm not going to go up to them and say, hey, we should follow each other on Twitter. Aside from that being creepy, that's not the way a community works. So, you know, this relationship between a brand and a customer, to me, there's an inherent sort of transactional relationship there. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying we should set sort of expectations accordingly. So I thought more deeply about this concept of a brand community, and I think I was a little narrow initially. And so there's so many great examples of brands that have transcended this transactional relationship and created something more, something I think that more resembles a community. A brilliant colleague of mine once said that a community is a group of people who actually want to talk to each other. And I love it. I think it's sort of simple, it's succinct, and I would add that they should share something in common, a value, an ideal, a goal, and to me that even transcends past community into something resembling a culture. And so sports teams, fandom, great example, right? I also am a fan of a bunch of European soccer clubs. I buy jerseys, I wear jerseys. If I saw somebody wearing one of my team's jerseys on the street, I might actually talk to them, especially if it was after a big game, right? So now I have a reason to interact. And so, you know, if you're a brand, you want to engage with your community, obviously you want to give them a reason to talk first. And sports teams, a game, a great example. You know, there was also for that moment, for that game, you've created a community. Maybe it's an hour, a group of strangers get together and they are sharing in a goal. They're sharing an idea. And there's also another great example where, you know, those of you guys that have been in the space for a little bit probably have made relationships with folks online, getting to know them through their PFPs, their avatars, on servers, on Twitter, maybe you hear their voice. The first time you actually meet them in real life is quite a special moment. You've already gotten past all the hard stuff, and now you're there and you've deepened that relationship, and I think in some ways reaffirmed that the digital relationship is real, and strengthen those bonds of community. They don't have to be IRL, they could be virtual obviously, but you know, they can be time consuming. There is some risk involved, you know, if it's not marketed correctly, you might have some low attendance, but I think it's well worth the risk. And I've certainly made a lot of great connections just being here this week with folks that I, you know, knew by their PFPs, you know, on Spaces and Twitter. Another great example is creating ambassadors. So I have another confession or a secret. I'm a 43-year-old man. I have a wife and a 12-year-old son, and I have a digital identity as a cartoon JPEG. I think I'm in good company here at NFT.NYC, even though my wife makes fun of me. Now, I was awarded a special one of one by this wonderful community that I'm a part of, the Non-Fungible Heroes. And I was awarded that through engagement. And that, you know, that token cemented my love for the community. It gave me exclusive access to, you know, token-gated channels. It gave me a sort of a leadership role. It gave me kind of permission to create my own content that I actually wanted to create for the brand. And I'll get a little more to on that later. There is also a risk with creating ambassadors for your community. They could sell the token if that's, you know, the route you take with your community. They could leave the community, and you've created a hole there, right? Especially for somebody in the leadership position. again, I think it's worth a risk, but something to consider. Gamifying engagement, right? This is a pretty, low-hanging fruit one, I think. Points, leaderboards, badges can help incentivize engagement, create a sense of kind of friendly competition amongst your members. I think if you've been in the space for a little bit, you may have lived through that era where Me6 Discord servers, were all about grindy behavior and your rank in the server. And I'm glad that's sort of gone out of vogue. But the gamification layer has to be done thoughtfully with some balance. But I think friendly competition also is a great way to incentivize that engagement. User-generated content. There's some stat, I think it's like 85% of millennials and younger generations actually get they're influenced by product reviews and third-party content when making purchase decisions. That's a pretty important stat and kind of a staggering number as well. But encouraging members to create their own content through creating special roles and those ambassadorships, blog posts, videos, that type of thing, I think is super important. Now, this brings up another inherent risk that if a brand wants to enter the space, create tokens and membership and things like that, you have to sort of give up a little bit of control of the conversation. Because if you're encouraging a user to generate their own content, it might not necessarily be in line with your idea of your brand. So it's more of a dialogue. And I think that is probably more towards the evolution of where communities are heading, especially with tokens, where it's treated delicately, right? It's less of a monologue and more of a dialogue. So that risk is something to obviously be aware of. Offering rewards. So we're building a community engine tool, and members get rewarded for engaging with all sort of touch points to the brand, accounts, attendance, ownership, especially in this sort of token-gated world. We use a framework called Snap. It was developed by Holly Firestone, previously from Salesforce. It stands for status, networking, access, and perks. So I've heard a lot about loyalty this week, and I think that seems to be a growing trend among big brands. And I think it's a great entrance into the space. Most of the reward programs I'm familiar with through like my credit card and things like that are inherently transactional. I buy stuff, I get points, I get more stuff. And to me, that focuses on the perks part of it. Status, networking, and access are those more intangible rewards that I think can encourage a more, I don't want to say the word organic, but a more communal relationship between the brand and the community they serve. So, offering incentives like discounts, exclusive content, those types of things can create that sense of loyalty. So I think with that, I am going to say thank you so much. I appreciate your attention. And GM.
Let's get a round of applause for our speaker, Eric. That was awesome.